right, we're back on the 57 Bentley, and I'm giving power to the solenoid. I did have to rap on it a few times with a wrench to get that loosened up. The pintle was stuck, but as you can see now, you see refrigerant flow. There you go. You can see the flash gas going by. Now remember, I told you I only put 2 pounds of refrigerant in the system. So because there's a front and rear system with 2 receiver dryers, and they're very tall, big receiver dryers, each one of those holds several ounces of refrigerant in each receiver dryer, and this is a big system, and it has front to rear hoses, so there's a lot of refrigerant. Probably requires about 3.5 to 4 pounds, maybe more, not sure. But I'm waiting for my dye. I have UV dye in there, and I'm waiting for it to get all the way back here so I could see it. All right, I gotta take my hand off there. I'm gonna have to permanently wire that. That's cold. Oh, that's freezing. So that might be restricted because the receiver dryer is turning to ice. And when you have ice in a receiver dryer, the hot gas, if you look at the very top, there's no ice on top. Somewhere right there, about 3/4 of the way up where that strap is, there's a filter, there's desiccant material, and another filter, and all that's white ice, that turned to ice. So warm refrigerant comes in, drops into top, and it's turning to ice going through the dryer. So that dryer is probably plugged. Could be because of the really low refrigerant quantity, but right now I just want to look for leaks. So this is kind of probably, if that is a restricted dryer, we only can tell that after we get both the fans working. We have a heat load over the evaporators. There's no heat load. So you can't properly diagnose the system if you don't have blower fans going over your evaporators, because it'll just get way too cold. But you can see the ice developing there. And yeah, plenty of flow up here. And now that I opened up the rear back there and it dumped a lot of the refrigerant to the rear, it's very low up here now, you can see. It almost doesn't show because there's so little refrigerant, because that rear solenoid just took away all the liquid refrigerant out of the system and dumped it to the rear and into receiver dryer. Okay, so got to see about getting some load on these, bypassing with power to both fans on the front blowers to put a heat load so I could keep adding refrigerant. But we're going to let this sit overnight with refrigerant in it. I have dye in it, I have refrigerant in it. I already went over it with leak testing today, but it's going to sit with refrigerant overnight, let the dye circulate, let it set, let the temperature and pressures change overnight, and re-look for leaks again tomorrow. This is not a one and done situation. You don't just fill old vehicles like this with 50-year-old hoses up and then just blow them out the door. You literally run them and let them sit overnight and retest them the next day, pull the refrigerant out, put 200 PSI in them, use the ultrasonic leak detector, use your soapy bubbles, use every method. And as you can see, it's still running, but it's just not cold no more because all the refrigerant just got transferred to the rear. All right guys, I'll see you later. And we're going negative now. See, we weren't negative before. Now that I opened up that rear, I wonder if there was rust in the rear and it came out of the dryer, went through the dryer and plugged up the expansion valves. But I won't know that until we have a load on the evaporators. You cannot judge this because it's running with no load, and they can turn to icicles, and the temperature takes a nosedive, so does the pressure. See you guys later.